Okay, welcome back. I'm now going to be reviewing all of Thursday's action from the NHL. There were a total of 12 games, therefore 24 teams were hungry for 2 points, respectively. Starting with an Original Six matchup as the Boston Bruins went into Montreal to take on Les Habitants. In the first, Hannon would kick things off for the Boston Bruins, getting his 12th goal of the year from Pasternak and Pavel Zacha, 4 minutes and 49 seconds into that period. With 5 minutes and 23 seconds remaining, the captain Nick Suzuki would tie the game up, getting his 26th goal of the year, assisted by Slavkovsky. There was no scoring in the second or third. We would need overtime to settle a winner, as Jake DeBrusk would be the hero, getting his 16th of the season from Brad Marchand and Hampus Lindholm. So 2-1 would be the final score in the extra frame. So with the win, the Bruins are 39-14-5, still sitting second in that Atlantic Division, while after the overtime loss, Montreal is 25-30-11. Alrighty. The next matchup, I believe, took place in Buffalo. All right. So I'll get those teams loaded up on the screen. Okay. So, where are we? So in the second period, there was no scoring in the first. All of a sudden would kick things off for the Sabres, getting a sixth of the year from Peterka and Owen Power. A power play goal 4.5 minutes into that second fruit period. Dylan Cousins would increase lead to 2-0, getting his 15th of the year from Clifton and Skinner 8 minutes and 15 seconds into that frame. Benson would score a minute and I want to say 26 seconds after that, increasing the lead to 3-0 for Benson. That would be his 8th of the year, assisted by Joki Harudu and Owen Power. After 40 minutes of play, the Sabres had a 3-0 lead. In the third, Benson would get his second goal of the game, recording his 9th of the year from Darlene and Bowen Byram, and that goal happened with 4 minutes and 54 seconds remaining on the clock. So this after the victory, the Sabres are 32-30-5. And look out, they're attempting to make a postseason push. They're only a few points back of that wild card spot. Speaking of the wild card spot, the New York Islanders have that second wild card spot with a record of 29-22-14. So they do have teams breathing down their neck. They're not a lock in the playoffs just yet. So a pretty crucial loss against a team that is chasing them for a playoff position. Alrighty. The next matchup took place in Carolina. We had the Panthers as the visiting team went into Raleigh to take on the Hurricanes. Okay, so it should be loaded up on the screen. Let's take a look at the goal scoring summary. So in the first, when it looked like this game might stay scoreless after one, Seth Jarvis would get a late goal with 49 seconds remaining on the clock, getting his 21st of the year from Jordan Staal and Slavin. In the second period, Nietzsche would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 21st of the year from Orlov and Jake Gensel. Evgeny Kuznetsov, one of the newer acquisitions for the Hurricanes, would get on the goal score sheet 8 minutes and 27 seconds into that same period. For Kuznetsov, that would be his 7th goal of the year, assisted by Chatfield. After 40 minutes, the Hurricanes had a 3-0 lead. In the third period, with 4 minutes and 18 seconds remaining, Sveshnikov would get his 17th goal of the year, assisted by Slavin, making it 4-0 at that point in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes. And that's where we would stand at the end of regulation. So with the victory, the Hurricanes got their 40th win of the season. They are now 40-20-6, still sitting second in that Metropolitan Division. And despite the loss, the Panthers are 45-18-4. They have first place in the Atlantic Division. Alrighty, the next matchup, I believe, took place in Columbus, where we had the Blue Jackets, and they were playing against the Ottawa Senators. So a battle of the bottom feeders of the Eastern Conference. All right. Let's take a look and see how this game went. Oh, no. What happened? Just have to reload my app. Just Be patient. Come on. Okay, so, I scrolled too far. Hold on. There we go. Now we're all set. So the Senators went into Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. So Boone Jenner, the captain, would kick things off just 15 seconds into that opening frame. For Jenner, that would be his 20th goal of the year, assisted by Gaudreau and Boqvist. There was no scoring in the second. We had to jump ahead of the third period, where Nylander would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 6th of the year from Gaudreau and Werenski, a power play goal, 5 minutes and 21 seconds into the frame. So at that point in the game, the Blue Jackets had a 2-0 lead. Claude Giroux would cut the deficit in half, getting the Senators their first goal of the game, his 19th of the year, assisted by Kachuk and Kastelich. Tim Stützle would score with 7 minutes and 33 seconds to go on the clock. For Stützle, that would be his 16th goal of the year, assisted by Bernard Docker and Brandstrom. We would need extra time in this one. There was nothing settled in overtime, so therefore a shootout had to decide a winner. And the man who got the first goal of the game for the Senators would get the game-winning goal, as Claude Giroux would be the hero in this matchup. With the victory, the Senators are 27, 33, and 4. And with the Blue Jackets, they're 22, 33, and 11. All right. Next matchup, let's take a look and see, took place in Detroit, where the Red Wings played host to the Arizona Coyotes. So before I do this game, just want to make one little side note that the Red Wings, I want to say maybe a month ago, it looked like they were legit going to be making the postseason, and it seemed like they were finally going to end that drought. But now, coming into this match, I think they lost like 5 or 6 in a row. So this is a team that's really unraveling at the worst part of the season. So in the first, Logan Cooley would get a shorthanded goal to open up the scoring for the Arizona Coyotes, getting his 12th of the year, assisted by Genther. Lucas Raymond would tie the game up on a power play with exactly 2 minutes remaining on the clock. For Raymond, that would be his 19th goal of the year, assisted by Patrick Kane and Shane Gostisbehere. In the second, Carcone would give the Coyotes a 2-1 lead, 8 minutes and 36 seconds into that period. For Carcone, that would be his 19th of the year from Kerfoot and Michelli. After 40 minutes of play, the Yotes had a 2-1 lead. Roughly halfway through that third period, Nick Bjugstad would increase lead to 3-1, getting his 17th of the year from Schmaltz and Keller. Speaking of Keller, he would add a late goal for the Arizona Coyotes, getting his 26th of the year from Bjugstad and Vermont, with 3 minutes and 4 seconds remaining on the clock. So Coyotes went into Detroit and had a bit of an upset, to say the least. So with the victory, the Coyotes are sitting at 27, 35, and 5. And with yet another loss, the Red Wings are kind of reeling at this point in the season, 33, 27, and 6. They are on the outside looking in when it comes to postseason action. Alrighty, the next one took place between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the San Jose Sharks. So I'll get those teams loaded up on the screen. The one little side note I'll say about this game is obviously this is Erik Karlsson playing against his former team since being traded away in the offseason. And realistically, I don't think it's really worked out for the Penguins that well, considering that they're still battling for a playoff spot this late in the season. So in the first, Noel Acciari would kick things off for the Penguins. 9 minutes and 32 seconds remaining on the clock. For Acciari, that'll be his 4th of the year from Erik Karlsson and Drew O'Connor. Zetterlund would have the game up with 5.5 minutes to go, getting his 17th of the year, assisted by Addison and Thurn. Marc-Andre Vlasic would get on the goal score sheet, getting his 6th of the year from Kostin and Granlund. With 59 seconds remaining on the clock, the Sharks had a 2-1 lead. Jeff Carter would tie the game up in the second period, getting his 9th of the year from Bemstrom, 4 minutes and 11 seconds into that period. Malkin would give the Penguins their second lead of the night, getting his 19th of the year from Drew O'Connor and Lars Eller. And that goal happened with 9 minutes and 24 seconds to go on the clock. Klim Kostin, one of the new acquisitions for the Sharks, would get on the goal scorer sheet, tying the game up at 3 with 1 minute and 18 seconds to go. For Costin, that would be his 4th of the year from Granlund and Marc-Andre Vlasic. After 40 minutes of play, we were all tied up at 3. Ludwig would get the Penguins their 3rd lead of the night, making it 4-3. For Ludwig, that'd be his 2nd goal of the season, assisted by Joseph and Riley Smith, 2 minutes and 38 seconds into the period. Exactly 2 minutes after that, Raquel increased the lead to 5-3, getting his 10th of the year from Joseph and Ludwig. And Rust would add a very late goal for the Penguins, doubling up the lead to 6-3. For Brian Rust, that'd be his 19th of the year from Letang and Crosby. So 6-3 would be the final score in favor of the Penguins. So with the win, the Pittsburgh sitting at 29, 27, and 9. And with the loss, the Sharks are 16, 42, and 7. Alrighty. The next matchup took place between the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first, Panarin would kick things off for the Rangers with 6 minutes and 2 seconds to go on the clock. For Panarin, that'd be his 36th goal of the year from Trocheck and Lafreniere. I can easily see Panarin getting to 40 goals. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about that. Schneider would get his 4th goal of the year, increasing lead to 2-0 with just over 3 minutes remaining in the clock. Assisted by Zibanejad and Roslovic. After 20 minutes of play, the Rangers had a 2-0 lead. In the second period, Brandon Point would get on the goal scorer sheet for the Lightning. 7 minutes and 19 seconds to go on the clock. For Point, that would be his 34th goal of the year, assisted by Kucherov. Anthony Duclair would tie the game up with 1 minute and 17 seconds to go. For Duclair, that would be his 18th goal of the year, assisted by Point and Kucherov. So Lightning were down 2-0 after 20 minutes. They got 2 goals of their own, so we were all square at 2 after 40 minutes of play. Jack Roslovic would get the Rangers their 3rd goal of the game, giving them a 3-2 lead. For Roslovic, that'd be his 7th goal of the year from Fox and Kreider, 1 minute and 48 seconds into the period. Braden Point would tie the game up, getting his 2nd goal of the game, his 35th of the year. Hedman and Kucherov, 3 minutes and 41 seconds into the frame. Steven Stamkos would give the Lightning a 4-3 lead with 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go on the clock. A power play goal, his 25th of the season from Point and Cirelli. Point would then get a natural, getting his 3rd of the game, his 36th of the season from Kucherov and Victor Hedman, and that goal happened with 5 minutes and 12 seconds to go on the clock. Kucherov would double up the lead to 6-3 with 3 minutes and 38 seconds to go, getting his 39th goal of the year from Braden Point and Nick Paul. So to say that Braden Point had a stellar game would be an understatement. I believe he finished with 3 goals and 3 assists, so 6 points for Braden Point. Unbelievable. Alrighty, so with the victory, the Lightning are 35, 25, and 6. They currently have the number 1 wildcard spot as we speak. As for the Rangers, despite the loss, they're 43, 19, and 4. They are still sitting first in that Metropolitan Division. Alrighty. The next game, I believe, took place in Philadelphia, where we would have the Flyers as the home team taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. There we go. Alrighty, let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first period, Bertuzzi would kick things off just 2 minutes and 1 second into that opening period, getting his 13th of the year from Austin Matthews and William Nylander. Holmberg would increase lead to 2-0 roughly halfway through that period. For Holmberg, that'd be his 4th goal of the year, assisted by Dewar and Morgan Riley. Liljegren would get on the goal scorer sheet late in that period with 4 minutes and 21 seconds to go. For Liljegren, that'd be his 3rd goal of the year, assisted by Bertuzzi and Samsonov. After 20 minutes of play, the Leafs had a 3-0 lead. In the second, Owen Tippett would get a power play goal, getting the Flyers their 1st goal of the game. For Tippett, that'd be his 24th goal of the year from Frost and Konechny. After 40 minutes of play, the Leafs had a 3-1 lead. Austin Matthews would strike in the 3rd period, getting his 55th goal of the year from Holmberg and Lyubushkin, 4 minutes and 45 seconds in that frame. William Nylander just scored 8 seconds after that, giving the Leafs a 5-1 lead. For Nylander, that would be his 35th goal of the year from Max Domi and David Kampf. Matthew Knies would increase lead to 6-1, exactly 9 minutes into that period. For Knies, that'd be his 12th goal of the season from McCabe and Liljegren. Forster would get a shorthanded goal for the Flyers late in that period. For Forster, it would be his 17th goal of the year from Sanheim and Sean Couturier, and that goal happened with 1 minute and 32 seconds to go on the clock. So 6-2 would be the final score in favor of the Leafs. So with the win, the Leafs are sitting at 38-19-8. They have the third spot locked in as we speak in the Atlantic Division. Speaking of third place, that's where the Flyers find themselves after this, still in third in the Metropolitan Division with a record of 34-25-8. Alrighty, now we're off to Texas, where we have the Dallas Stars, and they were the home team playing against New Jersey Devils. Alrighty, let's take a look and see how this game went. So Wyatt Johnston would kick things off just 15 seconds in that opening period. For Johnston, that would be his 25th of the year from Ben and Harley. Eric Holla would tie the game up 5 minutes and 41 seconds into that same frame, getting his 14th goal of the year. Craig Smith would give the Stars a 2-1 lead with 7 minutes and 56 seconds to go on the clock. For Smith, that would be his 8th goal of the year from Hakpana and Delandria. Chris Tierney would tie the game up at 2 with 2 minutes and 46 seconds to go. For Tierney, that would be his 2nd goal of the year, assisted by McDermott and DeSimone. After 20 minutes of play, we had 2 goals apiece. Mercer would give the Devils a 3-2 lead 1.5 minutes into that second period. For Mercer, that would be his 17th goal of the year from Hischier and Luke Hughes. Meyer would increase lead to 4-2, 3 minutes and 52 seconds in that period, getting his 19th goal of the year from Bratt and Nemec. Nosek would get his first goal of the season for the New Jersey Devils, assist by Lazar, 5 minutes and 12 seconds into that frame, making it 5-2 in favor of the Devils. In the third period, just a lone goal to report. Holtz would increase lead to 6-2 with 5 minutes and 35 seconds to go. For Holtz, that would be his 14th goal of the year from Tierney and Meyer. So 6-2 would be the final score in favor of New Jersey. So with the win, the Devils are sitting at 32-30-4. And despite the loss, the Dallas Stars are 40-19-9. They are currently sitting second in that Central Division. Alrighty, the next matchup took place in Minnesota, where we had the Wild, and they were playing against the Anaheim Ducks. So Zach Bogosian would kick things off in the first period with 5 minutes and 16 seconds to go. For Bogosian, that would be his 3rd goal of the year from Rossi and Kaprizov. In the second period, Kaprizov would increase lead to 2-0. For him, that would be his 34th goal of the year from Hartman and Boldy. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kaprizov hit 40 this season when it comes to the goals. There's no score in the third, so 2-0 would be the final score in favor of the Wild. So with the win, Minnesota's sitting at 33-27-7. They're attempting to make a late postseason push, but time will tell to see if they can actually catch up. As for the Anaheim Ducks, 23-40-3 is where we stand at the end of regulation. Alrighty, just 2 more games to cover from Thursday's action of the NHL. We're off to the Pacific Division, where we have the Calgary Flames, and they are playing host to the Vegas Golden Knights. So there's no scoring in the first. We have to jump ahead to the second. Anthony Mantha, one of the newer acquisitions for the Vegas Golden Knights, would kick them off the goal score sheet-wise, getting his 21st of the year, assisted by Shea Theodore, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 4 seconds remaining on the clock. So after 40 minutes of play, the Golden Knights had a 1-0 lead. In the third period, Jared Govich would tie the game up exactly 4 minutes into the period, getting his 28th of the year from Hunt and Shillington. Blake Coleman would give the Flames their first lead of the game, just over halfway in that period. 9 minutes and 54 seconds to be exact remaining on the clock. For Coleman, that would be his 27th goal of the year from Nazem Kadri. Toronto would increase lead to 3-1 with 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go. For Corento, that would be his second goal of the season from Hunt and Sharon Govich. Blake Coleman would add a late goal, an empty net goal, his 28th of the year from Backlund and Machapani, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 58 seconds to go on the clock. So a bit of an upset to say the least, as the Flames took down the Vegas Golden Knights. So with the win, the Flames are sitting at 32, 29, and 5. And with the loss, the Vegas Golden Knights are still holding on to that second wildcard spot with a record of 35, 24, and 7. Alrighty, the last matchup from Thursday took place in Seattle. We had the Kraken, and they were playing host to the Washington Capitals. So there was no scoring in the first. We had to jump ahead to the second period where TJ Oshie would give the Washington Capitals a power play goal, the first goal of the game for Oshie. That would be his 11th goal of the year, and that goal happened with 5 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. In the third, Bjorkstrand would tie the game up at 1, getting a power play goal of his own, 3 minutes and 32 seconds into that period. For Bjorkstrand, that would be his 18th goal of the year, assisted by Gord and Yamamoto. Connor McMichael would give the Capitals a 2-1 lead with 8 minutes and 24 seconds to go. For McMichael, that'd be his 14th goal of the season. And 2-1 is where we stand at the end of regulation. So with the victory, the Washington Capitals are 31, 25, and 9. Still attempting to make a postseason push. But again, like I always say with teams that are outside looking in, only time will tell. As for the Seattle Kraken, it's looking very, very bleak for them to make a second consecutive appearance in the playoffs. After this loss, they're 28, 25, and 12. Alrighty, that takes care of my recap from Thursday's action of the NHL. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, take care.